Hi guys, thank you very much for joining. Welcome back to another episode of Odd Stuff. Odd Stuff 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 are up on the channel. This is Odd Stuff 6, and if you don't know what these Odd Stuff videos are about, in this case, whilst we've been looking through, there are numerous amounts of information, interesting information that actually don't go anywhere. They are interesting, but they just don't go anywhere. So I've gathered them up and I make a collection of interesting facts or topics, whatever you want to call them, and collaborate them, and they just go into these videos, and I've made a series of them. This is the 6th, so let's get on with it. So first up, we've got this statement. Now, I've come across this statement a couple of days ago, and it's by far one of the weirdest that was made regarding these murders. Now, this statement, as I've read through it, it is regarding our Range Rover, and it is a statement on topic with our murder. However, there are some discrepancies in the statement, and personally they're a bit weird. First of all, the date. If you have a look, it's the 10th of the 11th 95. That's the 10th of November 95. Now, the person who's written this, I would have thought could have made a mistake there, but look, they've written the date 3 times. One here at the top, then again after this statement, it's the 10th of 11th 95, then again right at the bottom, the 10th of November 1995. Now, you could consider this statement to be very, very interesting, or not anything to do with our story. It depends. It's by somebody called S.R. Hills, and he says, I am the above described. I am a self-employed taxi driver and I work in the London area. Most mornings I wait about for a possible fare into London until about 5:10 in the morning. On Wednesday the 7th of the 12th 95, I was sitting outside the Skoda garage, Rettendon Turnpike, between 4:50 and 5:10 hours when I saw a beige grey Range Rover driving round the roundabout from the direction of Chelmsford in the direction of Southend. I only saw the vehicle on the roundabout. I didn't see where it came from or which exit it took. I noticed it in particular because it looked heavily laden and the left back side was sitting low. I could see a face in the rear near side window which was looking out to see as if to see a direction. The vehicle I can only describe as very plain. I couldn't see any bull bars or any extras. Now, if you haven't noticed that already, firstly, he's talking about Wednesday the 7th of December 1995. Now, let's not forget that this whole statement is dated the 10th of November 95. He's talking about Wednesday the 7th of December, which, no matter how you cut it, that's talking about the future. It was taken on the 10th of November, but he's talking about Wednesday the 7th of December 1995. The reason why it's interesting is because of these times. Between 4:50 and 5:10, he saw a beige grey Range Rover driving around the roundabout at the turnpike, at Rettendon Turnpike. Now, beige grey, obviously that's not blue, but if you think about it, we're in the dark, we're in the middle of winter, and we're under street light here. Now, I don't know whether we're under white street light or orange street light. Now, beige grey, we're talking a bluey colour here. Light grey, a bit of brown, light brown, light brown, light grey under orangey street light. This could be a blue Range Rover. And he's saying he saw it at Rettendon Turnpike at 5:10 in the morning, but between 5:10 and 5:10. Now, by no means am I suggesting that this is our Range Rover, but it is interesting that this man has seen it, and the reason why he's remembered it is because of the back. The back in the left seemed heavily laden, and the back left side was sitting low. But of course, the statement was made on the 10th of the 11th 95. Now, I've got a feeling that date, the 10th of the 11th, is wrong. I've got a feeling it's supposed to say 10th of the 12th 95. Why would this statement be in our statements regarding these murders. These are statements, witness statements from people who have witnessed something, and the police are calling out for people, aren't they? They're calling out for people to come forward with any information whatsoever. This man's come forward. He said, I've seen a Range Rover. I saw it on Wednesday, but that's not right either. Wednesday the 7th of December 1995 isn't correct. It's Thursday the 7th of December 95, but he could have easily got that wrong. You know, he's a taxi driver, so he's up all night. He would have been up and working on the 6th, which was the Wednesday, and he's moved into Thursday morning, you know. So by this point, 10 to 5 in the morning, to him, could still be Wednesday. But obviously, the clocks have turned, and it's turned into Thursday. Do you know what I mean? But it doesn't go anywhere. Look, this doesn't... I've been sat here thinking about this for ages and wondering, you know, it just doesn't go anywhere. And that's the reason why it's made it into Odd Stuff. The date's wrong, first of all. He's taught, apparently, you know, according to this copper, I would assume, who's made this statement, he's talking in November. He's got the date wrong 3 times here. 10th of November 95. The murders haven't even happened at that point. You know, this man has signed it on the 10th of November 1995. And they're talking about a Range Rover. A Range Rover sighting. Why would they be taking this statement in November regarding Range Rovers and sightings of Range Rovers? It's either this man's got that date wrong, or we are literally talking about something completely irrelevant to our story. I just don't know how to think about that, but it's an interesting statement. This is a statement that's been left out because of this date here, 10th of November 95. It's been cast away. This is even before the Leah Betts era, the saga that happened. The Leah Betts thing didn't even happen until, I think it was the 10th of November, or the 11th, wasn't it? Or may have even been the 12th. 10th, 11th or 12th, the Leah Betts thing started. So, I've got a feeling it's supposed to be the 10th of December 95. And this man's reporting that he saw a Range Rover going round the turnpike on Wednesday the 7th. That's all I can get. But the cop has obviously got these dates wrong. You can see how confusing it is. I can't begin to even think about what it is because it's so wrong. The statement itself is buried in documents that are even before the Leah Betts thing. So that's the reason why it hasn't popped up. But look at that information. This information is crazy. Imagine if this is a positive sighting of our Range Rover. Beige grey, okay, that's not a blue, but the street lights and the timing, it's all dark and it'd be under orangey light. You're bound to, it could be that he's just missed out and seen that colour wrong. Beige grey, what colour could that be? Doesn't it sound like quite a light bluey colour? But let's just pretend for 1 minute that this is our Range Rover. Something's in the back of it on the left hand side, you know, Pat's in there. It seems that something heavy is in the back because it's lowered down at the back end and it looks lowered more to the left than anything. About all of that whole statement, you'll have to make your own mind up. It's just a weird one. That's all. That's how it makes it into Odd Stuff. Right, next up is this confirmation that not many people know about this. I didn't until a couple of months ago actually. I didn't know whether they were actually mistaking a Land Rover for a Range Rover, but I've come across this that actually confirms that Mick Steele owned a blue Range Rover. I'm not going to read this out, but this is a statement from a police officer, and he's talking about the arrest of Jack. So the bust has already gone down. They've already arrested Darren Nichols, and now they've come to arrest Jack Worms, right? And Jack is at work, G&T Commercials, which is owned by Mick, I believe, and he says that on arrival at the premises, a blue Range Rover was parked in the yard outside the workshop attached to the vehicle was a large black and orange inflatable boat on a trailer. The boat was being washed by Jack Worms under pressure washer. Like I say, I thought that he may have meant a Land Rover, but this is an extract from Darren Nichols' statement under oath, and even he goes on about how they used their Range Rover on the dud cannabis deal. As you can see on your screen here, they're talking about it getting stuck on a log on the beach as they were importing some drugs. Actually, I don't know if it is the dud cannabis deal, I'm not quite sure, but it says Jack Worms was there when we got back. As the boat gets over, we ran out of fuel, so we put the drugs in the back of the Range Rover, and Jack said the Range Rover was stuck on a log. So Mick said take the drugs out the Range Rover, hide them in the grass, and then we tried to get the Range Rover free, but we couldn't. Mick said he would go to his mum's house to get the car to put the drugs in. Me and Mr. Worms tried to dig the sand to free the Range Rover, but we couldn't. Mick returned in an Austin Metro. The drugs were put in the boot of the Austin Metro. Then he said he was going to put the drugs in his mom's garage and get a chainsaw to free the Range Rover. He drove off on his own. Me and Mr. Worms freed the Range Rover and it got unstuck. He came back in the Metro. The boat was meant to have fuel in it and go somewhere up the coast, but it didn't, so they said they were just going to get rid of the trailer and left me holding the boat. So that's just a pretty interesting fact there, that Mick Steele owned a blue Range Rover before the murders, during the murders, and 6 months when they were arrested for this cannabis importation. They still had this blue Range Rover. A lot of people don't know that. It's a very interesting fact. Now you know it. Of course, it doesn't go anywhere. It's just a blue Range Rover that Mick had. Right, next up is this. Now, this is our model Range Rover, and I was really surprised about this. I've never heard it before, and obviously it makes it into old stuff. It's not actually 100% connected to our story of the Rettendon murders, but it is a very interesting fact anyway, which I'm sure a lot of you, if you don't know about this, of course, you'll find interest yourself. Now, in 1999, there was a very, very high profile murder in London. It hit the headlines, Crime Watch, and this screenshot that you're seeing on your screen at the moment is actually a screenshot from Crime Watch. This Range Rover is a blue Range Rover Classic Vogue, exactly the same model as ours in our story, and police are looking for it. Even today, police are looking for this Range Rover. This is a screenshot of this Range Rover that the police are looking for, obviously from a CCTV, very grainy. It was back in 1999. Now, if I was to say that this Range Rover is the prime suspect, or the prime suspect in the Jill Dando murder was driving this Range Rover, chances are you wouldn't believe me, right? Well, that is it. That is the murder case. That's the high profile murder case I'm talking about. The Jill Dando murder investigation is looking for this blue Range Rover. I just want to make it clear that we're not talking about our Range Rover here, but this blue, same model Range Rover is what the police believe the prime suspect was driving as it sped away. Look, it says here, look, car clue, a Range Rover which sped from Jill Dando's home minutes after her murder may have sat for a week at the Swan car park, top right. The police poster appeal for assistance left. After all this time, after all these years of looking at this, I never knew that. And I found that so interesting that obviously I want to pass it on to you. But who else? Did you know that our blue Range Rover, same model of ours, is wanted by police in connection with the Jill Dando murder? I was amazed to find that out, and I just had to share it. Never have I heard that a blue Range Rover Classic Vogue, the same model as in our Range Rover murder story, was used in this potentially by the killer of Jill Dando. I've heard loads of stuff about the Jill Dando thing. It was massive news. It's just come up. There's been an anniversary of this Jill Dando thing. It all blew up again not so long ago. And still, in all of that, not one trace of information about this Range Rover. I had to type into Google blue Range Rover and this came up. Jill Dando. I was like, what's going on here? Jill Dando murder has always been, since 1999, that they suspect the killer got away in a blue Range Rover, classic Vogue, exactly the same model as ours in our story. I just find that really interesting, and of course that don't go anywhere because it's not about our story. That's the reason why it's made into Odd Stuff. Next up, have you seen these on eBay? I'm more than sure a lot of you will be interested in these. I was quite excited myself. Original West Ham ICF calling cards from the 80s. Gentleman who has given me permission to do this, by the way, is selling his. He used to be a member of the ICF and dug out his calling cards from back in the day, and he's selling them on eBay. $3.69, good price. Also sells them in a frame, £20 for 3. I asked if I could put these on and he agreed. He said yes, that's fine. I said I know a load of people who will be interested in these. Explained and introduced myself, and he said of course. They're the original calling cards from 1990. If you're a fan of this story, absolutely stunning souvenirs. If you don't know what these cards are, they are basically they're called calling cards, and the ICF intercity firm used them in the fighting at football days. Basically, the hooligans, should we call them, they used to have ruckuses on the terraces and in the streets after the football, West Ham and against whoever, and basically they used to beat the living shit out of each other. These calling cards were then placed in the pockets or on the bodies, or as it's demonstrated in Rise of the Foot Soldier, in the mouths of their enemies who they've knocked out or whatever it was. They used to leave these cards and they read, "Congratulations, you've just met the ICF, West Ham United." This gentleman on eBay is selling his. They are originals, and like I say, they are perfect gifts or souvenirs if you're interested in this story. So if you want to buy a piece of history, the link is in the description down below. Please do go and show your love. Right, now finally, a lot of people have been waiting for this. I've built it up too much. I have a sighting of Bernard O'Mahony in a white Sierra. Anybody who's interested in being following these videos will know how important white Sierras are in this story. If you don't know, Tony Craig was spotted at the Rettendon Turnpike and what seemed to be following a white Sierra at 5:45 the evening of the 6th of December 95, and they both pulled into White House Farm. The Sierra was leading and the Range Rover followed it, and it was following this white Range Rover. Both of them turned into White House Farm. So we have been looking for this white Sierra all over the place. Now, I'm sorry if that's got your hopes up. Unfortunately, this is odd stuff, so it's not what you think. It comes in the way of this. This on your screen is a statement from somebody called R. Highlands, and he's saying, about 4 AM on Thursday the 30th of March 95, I was on duty in full uniform in company with PC-31 Brander. At this time we were on armed response unit deployed to an incident in the area of Curlintye, Basildon. At this time I saw travelling along Church Road, which is situated nearby, a white Ford Sierra taxi which contained 2 people, index H425HOO. As a result of a radio message, we followed this vehicle until it stopped in Great Oaks, Basildon, directly outside the police station. I then saw a person I know to be the defendant, Patrick Bernard O'Mahony, get out the vehicle from the front near side passenger seat. I then arrested O'Mahony on suspicion of unlawful possession of a firearm. I cautioned him. He replied 6 times, "You lot have searched my house. There's nothing there." O'Mahony was then conveyed to Rayleigh Police Station, where he was seen by the custody sergeant. A short time later, I went to 24 Curling Tie, Basildon, whereupon with other officers, a search was made of the front garden. I saw hidden from view by a large flower pot was what appeared to be a silver-coloured handgun in a brown holster and a small container of some kind. These articles were left in situ for examination by Seams of Crime Officer. I apologise if I got your hopes up that I found something interested in. This is actually dated the 30th of March 1995, so absolutely nothing to do with our murder case. However, it is interesting that we have now found a white Sierra. We haven't found one yet anywhere else. It's a white Sierra with Bernie in it, and there's also a photo somewhere floating about of a white Sierra outside a police station. And this here is suggesting that Bernie pulled up in one, albeit a taxi. They pulled up outside the police station. Bernie got out and he was arrested for firearms, which later they went to his house and they found a gun in his front garden. This is interesting, obviously, because this just goes to show, doesn't it, the life that they were all in. Bernie's got guns. He's holding and handling gun, obviously placing it in his front garden, hidden by a large flower pot, which obviously the police have found. But like I say, this is odd stuff. This doesn't go anywhere, and of course, if we found Bernie in a white Sierra, that is not odd stuff that doesn't go anywhere. That most definitely would go anywhere. However, this is a white Ford Sierra taxi. Interesting, that's the only white Sierra that we've found so far, and it contains Bernie, who then gets arrested for having a gun. Anyway, my apologies for that, and for winding you up like that, if I did. I hope this can make up for it. Got some video footage of the time and the events of around the Leah Betts saga outside Rackhouse. Bernie's in it. If Bernie hasn't seen this, I'm more than sure that Bernie will actually be pretty interested in seeing this himself. If you look here, this video that you're just about to see was created on the 17th of November 1995. It was a collection of videos by Sky News, and they're on the internet on Getty Images. Basically, it shows that Bernie was working on the night of the 17th of November. Now, what's interesting about this, I know this isn't odd stuffy, if you like, you know, but the 17th of November, right, it's clear, you'll see in a minute, you'll see Bernie is working at Rackhouse on the 17th, yeah? Now, 17th of November was when Tony, Pat, Craig, and apparently Carlton Leach were all celebrating Tony Tucker's birthday, right? And Bernie actually says that he quit working at Rackhouse fairly soon after this. He said as soon as Leah Betts died, he quit working at Rackhouse. This is actually saying, look, Bernie was working on the 17th of November, and this was exactly the same night that Tony, Pat, Craig and Carlton Leach, apparently, according to Carlton Leach's book, by the way, which he gets wrong, he gets Tucker's age wrong in that, so there's no guarantees that he was actually there in the first place, but it's guaranteed that Craig and Pat were there. Anne-Marie Whitehead, Tucker's girlfriend at the time, or wife, common law wife, whatever it's called, she arranged the surprise party for him. It's Tucker's birthday party. Bernie wasn't invited, as you can see, because he's working here, and Bernie quits very much soon after. Bernie himself says that there was some bad blood between himself and Pat, and he actually blames the Leah Betts thing on the reason why he left, and the reason for leaving in the first place was all because of this Leah Betts thing. But you can put two and two together yourself there. This is the 17th of November. Leah Betts has already died, by the way, here. She died, I think it was on the 16th. She died on the 16th. Bernie said he left as soon as she died. But this is clearly showing you that Bernie was still around and in good spirits, as you're just about to find out, in good spirits, working at Raquel's on the 17th. Now, you know, personally, I think something happened. I think something happened between Bernie, Tony, Pat, Craig, maybe Carlton on this day or after this day, the 17th of November. At this point that you're just about to see of Bernie working, Tony, Pat and Craig are partying at Tony's birthday party. That all started at 9 o'clock. So they're already over there partying and celebrating a surprise party for Tony. Bernie is clearly working. Now I believe something happened. Something happened between Tony and Bernie fairly much soon after this. It could have been on this night. You never know. But as apologies for winding you up with that last White Sierra bit, this is following on with the theme of Bernie, White Sierras and a White Sierra taxi. See if you can spot all three in these clips. I've looked and searched. There's Bernie, there's a White Sierra in there, and there's a White Sierra taxi in this next clip. Enjoy. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves, guys. Peace.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, just for you. This is better, a little bit when you've seen it all. So the girl who was here last week, really, you've got information, just ring the number on here. Yeah. And if after you finish the leaflets you don't want them anymore, you can pass them on to some of your friends and possibly just circulate them around. Thanks so much for it.
Have you ever been to Raquel's when you were younger?
Yeah, I've been 3 times. I'm going to Australia.
And what's your name, sorry?
I'm Don Bushnell.
I just spelled the surname.
BUSH. NEW.
Ecstasy on a nightclub.
Sorry?
Ecstasy on a nightclub.
Do you work
What was happening?